The comfortable neighborhood bar and restaurant at 26th and Lyndale in Minneapolis. Come in for the famous Nightingale Burger or the Ginger Tamari Chicken Wings. View their menu or place a takeout order at nightingalempls.com.
Portions of the following program may be pre-recorded.
Broadcasting live on AM 950, the Progressive Voice of Minnesota, in the evenings on the beautiful WCPT 820 Chicago's Progressive Talk. And, of course, in Seattle, hello, Emerald City, 1150 AM KKNW. It is the Matt McNeil Show for your Wednesday. Good to be with you today. A rarity. And this is the albino squirrel running through your neighborhood. We have a Wednesday where you are guest-free as Stein. Is Stein doing Iowa things?
Sounds like he is very much doing Iowa stuff.
He's doing Iowa, which sounds dirty, but if you've lived there, no. It's corn and pork, you say. No, okay. Well, it's delicious corn and pork. But he is not joining us today. He's got things to do. But we've kind of got you. I'm glad you're here. I'm here. Patrick's here. We got a lot of things to talk about. We might be in another war here before too long. Hey, great. 952-946-6205, 952-946-6205. Patrick, how are you today?
Doing pretty well. How's your Wednesday going?
Going well. I'm looking around. There are some good in the Twin Cities, at least here. There's some looks like there's some events going on with Juneteenth tomorrow. I'm sure there's big stuff going on in Chicago, Seattle as well. You know, I'm glad we celebrate Juneteenth, but I also just the thing which I just it's so hard to take about the holiday is that the reason why it's Juneteenth is the 19th of June. It's because even though the Civil War was over, it was long over, there were still white slave owners who intentionally did not tell their slaves, oh, you've been freed, the war is over, and worked them as slaves until the national troops came there and told them, oh, you're free now. This is over. They lost. And yeah, it's one of those ugly moments in history where just you saw what the white slave owners real goal, just no matter what you're going to, what that I guess in their mind was going to be, you're going to pry my slaves from my cold dead hands. But it was just, yeah. And it was Galveston, I believe, Galveston, Texas. They finally landed there and they got there and they said, oh, I guess we can't keep the truth from you guys any longer. I am still, by the way, if you've never been, the International African American Museum in Charleston, South Carolina, which is standing on the site of one of the largest slave markets that was in the United States in Charleston, South Carolina. I'm still just, I saw that earlier this year, still just kind of stunned at the things that you still don't learn, just the injustices that were done to the African American community by white people. Yeah. Ugh. I highly recommend, if you're looking for a summer vacation trip, Charleston's a nice town anyway. If you haven't been down there, yeah, there's a lot of, your Henry Clays, your John C. Calhouns, your Strom Thurmans, you still get a lot of that stuff there, but they actually have a lot of really nice museums. It's a cute town. I would recommend it. If you get the chance, go down there. And that museum, the International African American Museum, is a life-changing museum. It was one of those museums where you go to and you realize, oh yeah, this is 1,000 times more horrible than anything you learned in a history class. I mean, it really is. So I hope you have a nice celebration tomorrow, and may God prevent this Trump administration from taking us back to those days. All right. 952-946-6205. Hey, what we mentioned yesterday, Mike Lee, the jackass senator from Utah, who was quick to put out lies in regards to the terrorist attack on Minnesota, which killed the Democratic Speaker of the House, Melissa Hortman, and her husband, Mark, as well as also shot John Hoffman, the senator, and his wife. Plus, once again, multiple other people were on his hit list. He, of course, put out posts that made it seem as if this was a leftist, this was an extremist leftist, and this was a Democratic problem. There's an interesting story yesterday. I was watching the Daily Show, and Jon Stewart was on it, and he talked about this, and he brought up the point about who cares about the politics. And you want to know the truth is, I agree with that sentiment, because there's something, if you're at the point where you're grabbing a gun and shooting people, how you got radicalized may matter, but the ability to try to apply daily labels that we have in our society to an individual that's that far gone is kind of irrational. It's like, and he was a Packers fan. No, you can't do that. I mean, it doesn't matter anymore. Here's a person who is broken to the core and for whatever reason decided to go out and start shooting people. But here's the problem I have with Jon Stewart and this point is that Jon Stewart wants to make it seem like, well, here's one person on the left saying it was a righto, and here's one person on the right saying it was a lefty. Stop it. Cut both sides. Don't do that. That's not what happened. Within minutes of this story breaking nationally, right-wing extremist social media influencers were out in full force, putting out lie after lie after lie about what had happened and the background of this individual with absolutely zero knowledge of anything, on an insane smear campaign for what? And I don't understand it. Why? Why is it so hard for you guys on the right to have to admit there are right-wing extremists? For God's sakes, you do everything sometimes to push a rhetoric which is going to spur this sort of thing. They're trying to take your money from you. They're trying to take your house away from you. They want to take your daughter and turn them into a boy. They're going to go kill your grandma. Won't somebody do something about this? That is your standard Republican, campaign stop nowadays. And one of the things that we have to come to grips with is that kind of rhetoric where most people in the audience will kind of let it slip. Other people in the audience, not so much. Not so much at all. And you got to be careful with this sort of thing. When one of these guys on the right does do this stuff, you guys are such sensitive little freaking snowflakes, because the mere thought that a right-winger, I mean, you've got this idea that every right-winger who hates liberals and hates those Democrats, it's just some kind of Western art piece where it's a cowboy sitting on the range with his gun on his shoulder. He never think about using it, but if ever tempted, he was ready to defend himself if he has to. But that's clearly not the guy. It's not the guy riding the back 40. Yet you guys love a show like Yosemite, or Yellowstone, rather, Yellowstone, where the whole concept is every few months you just start shooting at everybody. I don't know. That is kind of this whole kind of argument, is you guys want to push this idea that it can't possibly be a Republican because your fragile little egos just can't take the fact that that's most of what's going on out there. And you have to start talking about politics when you have this massive rush of social media accounts pushing false narratives that this is Tim Walz's buddy. Tim Walz had Melissa Hortman killed. All these things. You have to start talking. Well, actually, he didn't. He was actually registered in the Republican Party primary in 2024. He's a registered Republican in 2022. His roommate said he hate being called a Democrat. He was a big supporter of Trump. And the fact that you want to escape the fact that here he is clearly an anti-abortion terrorist with religious ties. We have to sometimes go down this path because we have to understand it. We have to understand it. And when you get guys like Dylan Roof who goes on out there and shoots people, and the first thing is like, he was a false flag. You guys are at the point where just the concept of you being wrong, which you are proven to be all the freaking time, is such a, my sensitive little ears can't hear this. And for God's sakes, the national news media goes along with you. I don't know what's wrong with you people, that you just, your knee-jerk reaction is not, oh my God, how horrible. Oh my God. Not even the cliche that is the Republican cliche that is thoughts and prayers. None of that. It's all, you know what really happened here, when you can't possibly know what happened. It's 12 hours before any real details are coming on out, yet you are speaking authoritatively about something just to make all your followers feel as if it's, you know, it once again, it's everything. I mean, my God, January 6th, you guys showed up, went to a Trump rally, then they marched on the Capitol, and we see the video of them whacking cops with hockey sticks and bear spraying them and trying to hunt down people in the Capitol, screaming, hang Mike Pence. And what was your excuse? That somehow all of those thousands of people were false flag Democrats who were doing a long-term undercover event where for decades they moved themselves into rural parts of the country just in the hope that Donald Trump might actually run. And that if he did win, and then there was an election, and that somehow that election, he lost a re-election on the first time he tried it, and he did that, well, then you guys would be ready to go, and that we would destroy the Republican brand. I mean, you don't even hear yourselves anymore. There is another Republican out there that's still doing this. This is the worthless piece of skin over in Wisconsin, U.S. Representative Derek Von Orden. Basically he's out there putting out all this, you know, lefties did this, even though it's clearly been proven that it's not true. Why? Because as these people scream, one immigrant killing one American is too many, so we're going to spend trillions of dollars to stop that from happening. You have a right-wing terrorist trying to kill these people. At the very least, you're trying to argue that it's no big deal because Democrats, in your argument, are somehow involved. But there is also this other argument which you are putting forward, which is it's okay that these people were killed because it was a Democrat killing a Democrat and problem solved. That's on you guys. And I'm just going to let you know something is seriously freaking wrong with you. It's the Matt McNeil Show.
Hi, I'm Peter Solak.
And I'm Adam Ostrowski.
We are here at Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces to talk about outdoor fires. Sitting around a fire is the oldest, most basic form of human activity.
What's new is in the way fire is burned. We can show you how to burn cleaner with a lot less smoke.
The radiant heat and light from an open fire is unmatched. It kindles our spirits and connects us to the outdoors. And now it's easier to experience and enjoy.
Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces sells and installs wood and gas burning fire pits and fireplaces. Let us help you experience an outdoor fire without all the smoke.
Come see the many ways you can enjoy a fire outdoors.
Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces has over 35 working wood and gas units on display at the corner of East Franklin and Riverside Avenue in Minneapolis. More information at woodlandstoves.com. Find the fire that works for you. Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces. Out of the ordinary products and services since 1977.
Twin Cities Pride is back, and AM 950 is proud to be part of the celebration all weekend long. Join us on June 28th and 29th. We're in booths 407 and 408 at the Yale Place Willow Street entrance near the Beer Garden. We'll be broadcasting live both days, featuring your favorite LGBTQ plus programming like The Gaily Show, The Illegal Trans Woman with Ellie Krug, and The Downright Upright Show with Philip Anthony. Plus special broadcasts from Matt McNeil, Ghostbox Radio, Feels Out Loud, Redefining Recovery, delivery, and more. AM 950's booth is sponsored by Twin Cities Gay Men's Chorus, Chief for Life, drinkable prebiotic dental powder for pets, Costcard, Melsa, Planned Parenthood North Central Region, and the Place Life Home Realtors. Don't forget to pick up some of our Pride swag. We've got stickers, bandanas, tote bags, and more. Grab a seat, listen live, and be part of the celebration. AM 950 is proud to support Pride and the LGBTQ plus community. Come see us at our booth and celebrate with us.
Your time is precious. Why are you still mowing your own lawn? I'm Alex Knorr, a young, hardworking entrepreneur serving the Southwest Metro with affordable lawn care. At Buzzcut Mowing, I offer weekly mowing, leaf cleanups, aeration, dethatching, tree trimming, and mulch installation. I work hard so you can relax and enjoy time with family and friends. Call today and I'll handle the rest. Visit buzzcutmowingmn.com. That's buzzcutmowingmn.com.
Peace of mind shouldn't cost a fortune. We keep things simple at Schroman Law because we believe planning for your estate and end-of-life care shouldn't be stressful or expensive. Every client relationship starts with a free consultation so clients have the information they need before making important decisions. From there, we work closely with clients to ensure they are choosing the most efficient and cost-effective plans for their specific needs. Schedule a free consultation today at schromanlaw.com. That's SCHROMEN law.com.
It is the Matt McNeil Show, 952-946-6205, 952-946-6205. So let's get you up to date on what's going on with Iran, and I'm keeping it. Again, this is kind of coming fast and furious here. The Trump has declined to answer reporters' questions on whether the U.S. is planning to strike Iran or its nuclear facilities. Iran's supreme leader, the Ayatollah, described on Wednesday as unacceptable an ultimatum from U.S. President Trump calling for the nation's unconditional surrender. The president of America is in an unacceptable statement explicitly urged Iranians to surrender. But we tell him first threaten those who are afraid of being threatened. Threats will not affect thinking and behavior of the Iranian nation, said the Ayatollah Khamenei in a speech read on state television. Once again, this is a country that's been getting threatened since Reagan. You think Trump is going to scare him? Trump is a clown. I'm a big tough bully guy. Better back down. Oh, okay, sure. Like your tariff negotiations. Come on. Once again, I just want to make sure I say for the record, this is a really bad idea. This is a really bad idea because as much as Trump and his ilk feel as if this is some sort of, we'll just throw a few bombs at them and this will be over. This ain't going to be over that quickly. And this is, once again, the Iranians have been planning for a land invasion by the United States for 45 years. They are prepared. And you're not going to be able to bomb this country into submission. And even if you did, the oil markets would cavitate and tank so badly that, I don't even know. I mean, it's, the world economy would collapse. Okay, I want to make sure I again have to say this because no matter what, I get the blowback on this. What I'm about to say has nothing to do with Israel itself. It has everything to do with Benjamin Netanyahu. Benjamin Netanyahu has no problem stacking American soldier corpses like logs, firewood, to get his achievement. There is video of him back in the early 2000s where he came to Congress and he said, without a doubt, Iraq has got a nuclear bomb. They're on the verge of having a nuclear bomb and they're going to use it. And he was in tandem with Dick Cheney at that time, with, of course, do you want your smoking gun to be a mushroom cloud? And what do we know now? They had nothing as far as a nuclear program. Those were lies. And Netanyahu was telling those lies to a very eager audience within the Republican Party at that time because he wanted America. He's not dumb. He knows he does not have the manpower to invade Iraq. So he needed the U.S. soldiers to do it. And so we obliged him. Once again, Iraq had nothing to do with January 6th. Nothing. It was a completely separate country. Doesn't mean Saddam Hussein was a good guy, but I mean, if you just want to start invading countries with bad guys, there's a long laundry list starting with Russia. We could go down that line. Benjamin Netanyahu knows that all he can do is throw some bombs and missiles at Iran, and that's about it. And even they know there's a limit to that because the rest of the Middle Eastern countries are only going to take so much. Don't get me wrong. There's a few of those countries, Qatar and Oman and Saudi Arabia, that sure do like the money that's coming into that country. But they also do understand that their leadership is only as good as the masses think it is. And they have a lot of money, but if they're running for cover, then they're not in charge anymore. So there is a limit to how much Israeli attacks are going to go. The United States getting involved in a lot of these countries, that's going to push the masses over the top. It will be a disaster for this country to invade Iran. It will be a disaster. I don't see how you're going to get away with it without doing a land invasion, and that means a draft. And of course, then all of a sudden, the White House is going to love the black and brown skinned people because those people will be the ones who they'll draft, and Whitey will stay back here. God, it's a freaking nightmare. It's a freaking nightmare. So the one thing that's really interesting is how this issue has really exposed a major rift within the Republican Party. A lot of Republicans have basically said that, Trump does need to have congressional approval before he can do anything like this. Let's say Trump decides he's going to bomb Iran. This is from Rand Paul. He needs to come into a joint session of Congress and ask for permission, and Congress would have to declare war on Iran. That is war in Iran, said the junior senator from Kentucky. He would have to come and ask permission. Otherwise, he'd be acting in an unconstitutional manner. Funny how the Constitution only matters at some point for these people. Paul has been a longtime supporter of the Tea Party movement, often seen as a predecessor of the MAGA movement. The U.S. Constitution vests the power to declare war on the Congress, not the president. However, in recent days, Democratic progressive lawmakers, including Tim Kaine and Bernie Sanders, have called for Congress to adopt a war powers resolution that would prohibit U.S. armed forces from taking direct actions against Iran without explicit authorization from Congress or a declaration of war. Benjamin Netanyahu clearly is sweet. Hey, Donald, you want to be looked at like a super duper powerful guy, how your entire country will love you? He's not dumb enough to try to do a land invasion into Iran himself. So he needs a lot of dead bodies. And I'm sorry, I'll say this about Benjamin Netanyahu. Once again, this is about him, not anyone else in Israel. But Benjamin Netanyahu, he does not care how many dead American soldiers it takes, as long as he can step over them and place his flag right in the heart of Tehran. That's what he wants to do. This is going to be a mess. And plus the fact that, can I just say, all right, even if you do start flying sorties over there, those are pricey. You guys are cutting the budget left and right. Where's this extra money going to come from for you to drop 300, 400 bombs a day across Iran? I mean, that's going to be a few $1 trillion in a month or so. Where's that coming from? Because you're sure as heck not going to raise the taxes on wealthy people to pay for that. Oh, more deficit spending? If you want to know how crazy this is Trump. Okay, Trump is an idiot. We all know that. All right, Trump is a moron. But I love when he thinks he's clever, because when a stupid person thinks they're clever, they really sound stupid. The quote here: "Nobody knows what I'm going to do." Like he's some mystery of the ages. He's like the Sphinx. We don't know anything here. What are you talking about? Nobody knows what they're going to do, Trump said when asked about the potential of U.S. strikes in Iran. Trump has declined to answer reporters' questions on whether the U.S. is planning to strike Iran or its nuclear facilities. He said Iranians have reached out, but he felt very, very late to be talking. There's a big difference between now and a week ago. Nobody knows what I'm going to do now. Oh, Lord. Yeah. So really, you got to be honest with you. At any point here in this week, we could probably be at war. And that's because Donald Trump is a weak man. We'll take a break. Come on back. It's the Matt McNeil Show.
Hey, Minnesota, it's your favorite sexy liberal. Join me and my fellow cohorts in liberal justice weekdays from 8 to 11 on AM 950 KTNF, St. Louis Park, Minneapolis, St. Paul, the progressive voice of Minnesota.
Your heart beats for generations.
Your heart is so many things. It beats all the time, and it works very hard to keep you moving through your day, keeping your thoughts clear. It's the most important organ in your body.
Every beat of your heart tells a story of love, resilience, and hope. Taking care of your heart means creating more moments with the ones you cherish. Learn more at hennepin.us/heart-beats. That's hennepin.us/heart-beats.
Supporting the best local and independently owned restaurants in the Twin Cities has never been easier. You'll find an expansive list of local dining options at eatlocalminnesota.com, from classic American comfort food to authentic flavors from around the world. Specializing in Szechuan and Peking cuisine, the Great Wall Chinese restaurant has been a local favorite since 1981. They offer one of the most extensive menus in the Twin Cities. Favorites include the sesame chicken, imperial beef, and Peking duck. The Great Wall restaurant is located off 45th and France, with takeout available too. More at greatwallrestaurant.us. Nightingale on 26th and Lyndale is the ultimate venue for unforgettable gatherings. Whether big or small, your event will be a hit with delicious food and drinks served in a warm and inviting atmosphere. Plus, Chef Carrie's special creations add that extra touch. Craft cocktails, curated drinks, and a diverse menu make Nightingale perfect for any celebration. More at nightingalempls.com.
Hey, it's Patrick for Zero Res. June is here, which means you might be having a graduation party at your house soon. Summer also means sleepovers. Your kids are going to be at the playground, at the water park, at the beach. There's going to be a lot of mess coming into the house over the summer, and you need to call my cleaning heroes at Zero Res to make sure your home is in order for the summer. And since June is here, it's time to take advantage of Zero Res's best deal of the summer. Zero Res can take care of any surface in your home or business, including carpet, tile, hardwood, rugs, upholstery, and air ducts. This month, take 20% off all services when you call my friends at Zero Res 9520-RES or go to ZeroResMinnesota.com. Just tell them you want the AM 950 special. Their prompt, courteous team will come out and take care of you. Again, that's 20% off all services this month. Go to ZeroResMinnesota.com or call 9520-RES and ask for the AM 950 special. Zero Res, backward or forward, spells the same. With your AM 950 weather, I'm Patrick Lilia. Today, cloudy with a high of 80. Tonight, partly cloudy with a low of 62. Then Thursday, sunshine with a high of 86. Nightingale is your cozy, comfortable neighborhood bar and restaurant at 26th and Lyndale in Minneapolis. Come in for the famous Nightingale burger or the ginger tamari chicken wings. View their menu or place a takeout order at nightingalempls.com.
AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota.
Broadcasting in the evenings on WCPT 820 Chicago's Progressive Talk, in the nighttime hours in Seattle, 1150 AM, KKNW, and of course in Minneapolis, St. Paul on AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota. It's the Matt McNeil Show on your Wednesday. Once again, no Stein. I mean, if you're usually at this point, we're in the Stein. Not today. He'll be back hopefully in a few weeks here. 952-946-6205. 952-946-6205. I should mention just one little last thing with Trump and Iran. One of the things which people have pointed out when it comes to polls that is clear, Trump doesn't care if the majority of Americans dislike what he is doing. He only cares if the majority of Republicans dislike what he's doing. Because if that happens, then there's going to be pressure on the Republicans to basically stop him from doing it. That is why he should be very upset about this. This is a wide-ranging Economist U government poll conducted over the weekend revealed that 53% of voters who backed Trump in the 2024 presidential election do not want the country to join in Israeli strikes. That 53% of his voters, a majority of his voters, do not think this is a good idea. The Economist poll, which revealed only 19% of people, of Republicans favored the U.S. getting into the military involvement there. Only 19%. So not even a little less than 20% of the entire Republican base. Meanwhile, overall, this is Republicans. 63% of Republicans wanted the administration to engage in negotiations with Iran over its nuclear program. So his own party is turning on him. That's what I think. I mean, this whole thing with him doing we'll wait and see, what am I going to do? I think he's looking at poll numbers. And if he feels as if he'll lose his MAGA base with this, I think that's what will stop him. So that's just an observation. 952-946-6205, 952-946-6205. Okay. So I have had a real question that I have kind of gone back and forth in my head in regards to Donald Trump and this parade. And it's not because it was destined to be a joke anyway. The guy hijacked the U.S. Army's birthday to try to make him a big boy birthday party for himself. And as a veteran of the U.S. Army, I got to tell you the truth, I'm a little upset that what he did was go out there and use the Army as basically a drunken clown for his kid's birthday party. It just angers me. Just angers me. But there's a question I don't think many people have been asking in regards to this parade. Where were his supporters? Now, there have been a lot of people reporting on the ground. It does sound like the crowd side was somewhere between 10 and 15,000 people, and that's it. I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt, and just to give a number out there, let's just say he had 25,000 people there. 25,000. I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. I'll give him the mulligan. 25,000 people. That still is hardly anyone. And many of those people were probably there to see a family member who might have been serving or might just be fans of the military and didn't want anything to do with Trump, but were there anyway to help support the Army. So when you look at it, I mean, I bet you can gauge another 5,000 of those fans were not there for Trump. A lot of people peg it between 10 and 15. I'm not going to disagree with that. But for this case, I'm just going to say, let's make it 25. We'll give him some extra. But here's where the problem comes in. If you draw a 100-mile circle around Washington, D.C., you should be able to get 100,000 MAGA people to show up. Yes, I understand D.C. itself is a very liberal city, very liberal. And other cities within that 100-mile loop are also Baltimore, for sure, the outer suburbs of Philadelphia. Yeah. The counties right across the river into Virginia, very blue, indeed. But you also get Western Maryland, which is somewhat Republican. You get West Virginia, which is really Republican. You get Southern Pennsylvania, South Southern Pennsylvania, in the central part of the state, kind of by York, by Chambersburg, by Gettysburg. That's very conservative. I mean, Harrisburg is in there. That's a very conservative part of Pennsylvania. And you get a good chunk of Virginia in there, and including a lot of deep red MAGA areas. So, and that's within 100 miles. I mean, that's just hey, we're going to go up to D.C. and we're going to go do this. Hey, let's go see the parade. Where were those people? It was a Saturday. Hey, and once again, you guys say, well, we don't show up because we got jobs. You showed up in mass for January 6th. That was a Wednesday back in 2021. So that's garbage, but I'll even play that game. It was a Saturday. It was a Saturday. You're in a large part of the population zone on the East Coast, the mid-Atlantic states, plenty of conservatives, plenty of notification it was happening, and nobody went. That is a real mystery because, he still is supposedly popular with his own base. Or is he? I've been rolling this question around my head for a few days now because that just doesn't make any sense. And once again, when you compare it to the No Kings rally, which was massively successful, his draw for his own birthday parade with the U.S. Army, there was at least 40 or 50 No Kings marches that seemed to have more people there than across the country than at his one party. So where was MAGA? As I was rolling this around, I read a story here, and I went, this story doesn't really have anything to do with MAGA, but I think I might have stumbled onto something here. Let me read this story to you. It has to do with an art museum in Italy, okay? An Italian museum has called on patrons to respect art after a couple was filmed breaking a chair covered in thousands of glittering crystals. Footage released by Palazzo Maffei in Verona shows a man and woman taking pictures on either side while pretending to sit on the so-called Van Gogh chair. The man then appears to slip and fall onto the chair, and he crushed it because it wasn't actually a chair, it was just crystals. Officials say the couple then fled the museum before staff noticed what happened. They have since notified police about the pair, who have not been identified. If you watch the video of this, they sure look like Americans. I'm just going to say it. I'm going to bet they're from the US of A. Sometimes we lose our brains to take a picture and we don't think about the consequences, said museum director Vanessa Carlin. Of course, it was an accident, but these two people just left without speaking to us. That isn't an accident. This is a nightmare for any museum. This incident apparently happened in April. The museum released the footage on June 12th. The chair was built by Italian artist Nicola Bolla and is bejeweled with crystals made from polished machine-cut glass. It is named after Vincent van Gogh as a tribute to the Dutch artist's painting of a simple chair. Bolla's piece is somewhat priceless, and that museum declined to provide the estimate of the value when asked by the BBC. Two legs in the main seat were broken. They've restored the piece now, and then it's back in place. So they were able to restore it and get it back out there. All right, so you get these, and if you go watch the video footage, BBC has it. You see these two ignorant American tourists being, well, the ugly Americans. I mean, like I said, I don't know if they are Americans. I'm going to bet they are. They sure look like Americans. And they're pretending to do they're in a museum. They're in a fine art museum. They are going there, and we're gonna pretend to sit in the chair, and they get goofy and silly. And of course, one guy gets sloppy and he falls down and he breaks the chair. And what do? Out of shame, out of embarrassment, out of stupidity, they run for the door. Ah! Right? Because they did not want to face the consequences of their actions. I think you see where I'm going here. Let's compare this to MAGA voter, because were you like me in the beginning of this year as Trump took office and the disaster that is his presidency started to unfold in real time? And he started doing all the things he said he was going to do on the campaign trail that all of his voters went, yay, for, who all of a sudden were like, wait a second, he said he's going to do what? Or he's not really going to do that. And they're now saying, oh my gosh, he's really going to do it. If you're like me, I would say 90% of the MAGA voters I have talked to have said the same thing to me. Well, I voted for him for immigration. I think immigration needed a long, hard look, and this, and it's funny because I'll point out the one side of that, which is, so you're saying the only thing that you voted for was immigration. You're saying you didn't agree with all the rest of the stuff he said he was going to do and he's going to do now, and you still voted for him. Yeah. So you voted for a guy that most of the things you disagreed with, and they'll look at you like, you libs, that sort of thing. I mean, because if you disagreed with most of his things, even if you agreed with him on immigration, you probably should have voted for Harris because she wasn't going to do those things. So what are we looking at here? We're looking at people who sat on the crystal chair, trying to be smart and look at me being snarky. Look at me being showing off. Look at me doing this. And then all of a sudden they broke it. And now they're running for the door. That is Trump. The Trump voter now realizes, I think most of them do. I mean, the racists are just going to be racist. The racists are racist. But most of the Trump voters, I think, are exactly that. That is, they watch Trump and his administration break this country like a fat American sitting on a crystal chair. They all of a sudden want to run away from that and act like, well, I didn't do that. That wasn't me. We got to go now. And so not only does that kind of explain a lot of the Republican mentality towards, well, the only thing I was voting for was immigration. They're trying to find some way to validate what they even themselves are saying isn't, they can't validate. But what this really does show is that kind of explains why in a part of the country where you should have easily gotten 200, maybe 250,000 true Trump supporters to show up for a parade on a Saturday, they got at best 25,000. At best, not including, and that does one, by the way, that does include the people that were there for military members as family members, or the people there that were just supporters of the military that really weren't Trump fans. They're staying at home because they realize they broke the country. They waved their fat cabooses, taunting it. Look at me, take my picture. I'm going to burn down those libs. Woo! And they didn't even think about what they were doing as they did it. And now they're faced with an ugly reality that they just broke the crystal chair. That is the United States of America. And as opposed to saying, oh God, I screwed up. I'm sorry. We have to talk to the guard here. We made a mistake. I'm so sorry. We're really apologizing about it. Instead, they ran, and this is them running. Now they don't want anything to do with Donald Trump. Don't get me wrong, when they're in their little groups of MAGA fools, yeah, Donald Trump, yeah. But whenever will they go on out to a parade and show some basic, appreciation for their great orange God? Nope, not a chance in the world. Will they back up his policies? No, because they even themselves realized, well, we broke the chair just being stupid. That is indeed what I think has happened here. I think Trump's own base is indeed sitting there and saying, oh my God, what did we do? But their inability to look at the mirror and say, I screwed up, I need to take responsibility for this, is leading to them just shying away from Trump and trying to make excuses. It is the Matt McNeil Show.
This summer, the rainbow shines brightest in Loring Park. Join the celebration at Twin Cities Pride 2025, the nation's largest free pride festival and Minnesota's second largest festival after the state fair. It all kicks off Friday, June 27th with Youth Night from 4 to 8, and the full festival takes over Saturday, June 28th from 10 to 7 and June 29th from 10 to 6. With over 650 vendors, 3 entertainment stages, an expanded youth hideaway featuring the Rainbow Stage, and a brand new bull ride challenge, there's something for everyone at Twin Cities Pride. Explore 4 food courts with 46 vendors, 2 lively beer gardens, and the powerful history pavilion honoring Jean Nicholas Tretter's legacy. Plus, look for special stickers identifying BIPOC and queer-owned vendors, and don't miss the Rainbow Wardrobe, offering free gender-affirming clothing and resources. Getting to Pride is easy with free Metro Transit ride passes, and we'll be broadcasting live all weekend from the AM 950 tent. So let's celebrate, support, and show our pride together at Twin Cities Pride 2025. This June, Twin Cities Gay Men's Chorus serves Diva Worship for their Leading Ladies Divas of Broadway Pride concert. Feel the heat, the passion, the undeniable power of music that sets your soul on fire. From the sultry seduction of Bring On the Men, to the soul-stirring wisdom of Children Will Listen, to the joyous, rebellious charm of Do Re Mi. With dazzling harmonies, show-stopping flair, and a touch or more of jazz hands, The Twin Cities Gay Men's Chorus will take you on a thrilling, emotional, and downright life-changing musical journey. It's the electric energy of 180 voices, bold, unapologetic, and dripping with Broadway brilliance. This isn't just a concert, it's a celebration of pride, power, and the irresistible magic of Broadway. The dates are June 21st and 22nd at the Ordway. Tickets start at $28. Get yours today at tcgmc.org. That's tcgmc.org. It's entertainment worth coming out for.
Connections Radio Show is all about tapping into our hardwired hunger to connect. We examine meaningful connections to ourselves, our community, and the world around us. By opening the door to innovative insights by a wide variety of interesting guests, we'll make the connections to something bigger than ourselves. Join me, Lori Fitz, your host of Connections Radio Show, and together we'll make the connections. Saturday mornings at 9 a.m. on AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota.
Hi, I'm Philip Anthony, the host of the Downright Upright Show, which airs every Saturday at 5 p.m. For the whole month of June, my show will feature LGBTQ advocates and live programming with my co-hosts Austin, Matt, and me from Golden Valley and Twin Cities Pride. The Downright Upright Show always uplifts my LGBTQ family and its allies. So tune in every Saturday at 5 p.m. and continue being fantabulous.
It is the Matt McNeil Show. Well, we had I'm going to just tell you right now, we just have to, one thing we got to get ready for is these Supreme Court, these SCOTUS ruling weeks are just going to be brutal. They're just going to be brutal because we can already see what's coming on a lot of them. If we get the occasional win, I think we can feel good about that. But the reality is we already can see where this is going. Tennessee, the Supreme Court upheld Tennessee's ban on gender affirming care for minors. Just basically they're saying that a state can regulate medical care for its people. Now, I guess this is not a surprise. I mean, they're of course the big one that they're trying to do is abortion, which once again is medical care. And it's interesting because there's a lot of people that are speculating that the Supreme Court's going to find that even in the case of the life of the mother, that a state can prevent her from getting a life-saving abortion if needed. That is okay. That's you can kill the woman because that's you're and that's not saying the death penalty is legal. That's saying that a state can murder its own citizens without recourse. It's scary. So there's always that out there, but now gender affirming care for minors is now banning that is now legal in this country thanks to the Supreme Court. The court voted 6-3, not a surprise. I'm sure Justice Alito is going to be, he'll be putting up his hate flags on his flagpole here by the end of the day. Sotomayor wrote the dissent for the liberal justices. CNN had a little bit of insight on this. Essentially, the key point of the contention here is, does the Tennessee law discriminate based on sex? The majority said no. It treats minors differently based on what their diagnosed condition is. So basically it's saying that it's not discrimination against sex. What it is you sex doesn't matter because we're going to say your diagnosed medical condition overrides any rights to, equal treatment under sex laws. The dissent forcefully disagreed here. In the dissent, Sotomayor argued, of course this law discriminates based on sex. She says a boy cannot receive estrogen treatments, but a girl minor can. And so she says, therefore, it definitely does, in her dissenting opinion, discriminate on the basis of sex, which it does. And once again, this is, I've talked about this before. Republicans have a tendency, this is their modus operandi. This is just who they are. Republicans will always go on out there and exaggerate to the nth degree what is actually going on. And so their version of, a child transitioning is that that a gang of the LGBTQ kidnapped a child and take him over and started putting him through without their parents' consent. And then one day, little Billy came home and she was Susie. Do you want that to happen to your child? The reality is that we have, if you trust medicine, and science, which we used to, if you trust medicine and science, that they understand that, gender identity is a far more complex issue than it ever was. That by the time you get to, I remember reading that story out of, was it Hastings, Minnesota, where the parents of a child who was in transition said very early on, it was clear that there were some serious signs here that the gender assigned at birth was not the correct gender. And so they went to medical specialists, and they went to psychologists, and they went to mental health experts, and they went to transgender care experts, and they went to multiple places, multiple different things. This is not some gang of people kidnapping a child. And of course, they couldn't start the transitional therapy until the medical science said, okay, we can start it at this point under strict supervision, making sure that everyone was on board, everyone was okay on it. Heaven forbid we actually do medicine anymore. Heaven forbid we actually let people do medicine and get the medical treatment that they desire as it's needed. I mean, at this point, they could start coming out and saying, we think chemotherapy is evil, so if you get cancer, sucks to be you. I mean, that's literally where we're at now in the country. And I guarantee you, if a Republican brought that case to the Supreme Court, Alito and Thomas and Gorsuch would all vote for it. Absolutely. They'd, yeah. So that's the roll of the dice. God hates you. You have to die of cancer now. She writes that the law does discriminate based on sex, and she says it also authorizes without second thought untold harm to transgender children and the parents and families who love them because there is no constitutional justification for that result. I dissent. That they usually say, traditionally, the justice dissents, they say, I respectfully dissent. She didn't do that because I don't blame her. She's pissed off. We have taken note a few times over the past years, and this is another one where the justice does not say respectfully. She just says, I dissent. So a pitched disagreement here between the conservative majority and the liberals in the dissent. I dissent too. I dissent. Now, none of my kids are transgender. They aren't. I have friends who have kids who have gone through transition. They love them. It's fine. It's fine. This is hate for hate's sake. And that's the saddest part about all this, is that this is the Supreme Court of the United States. I mean, this is, it's not, it maybe not as egregious as Dred Scott, but it's once again one of those rulings where the Supreme Court comes on out and says, yep, there's a second tier class of human being. And I think that that's just disgusting. Today, I don't know why, I had two guys come to my house door, and they were obviously from some religious group. They weren't Mormons, but I'm not sure which group they were from. And we talked religion, and I just sort of said to them, it makes me so sad to see what some people are doing to my religion, because my religion teaches me to love everybody, to feed the hungry, take care of the sick, welcome in the stranger, to give health care to those in need, visit the prisoner, clothe the naked. That's what my religion tells people to do. My religion is about peace and love and compassion, and I am being told hate, 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 hate. The second I show them that I actually know a little bit about religion, well, we got to go. Talk to you later. Bye. Yeah, exactly. Anyway, Chicago, Seattle, talk to you tomorrow. Minneapolis, St. Paul, hour 2 up next.
Hey, it's Tom. There's a war being waged on clean energy. A bill in Congress could eliminate
Trump says,
Nothing's finished until it's finished. War is very complex. A lot of bad things can happen.
In Ukraine, emergency workers pulled more bodies from the rubble of a 9-story Kyiv apartment building demolished by a Russian missile yesterday. That brought the death toll from the attack to 28. And the Supreme Court's okayed Tennessee's ban on gender-affirming care for children. The American Civil Liberties Union calls it a devastating loss for transgender people and everyone who cares about the Constitution. This is AP News.
Thy ticket, Lady Jennifer of Coolidge.
Well, many thanks, good sir. Hereeth my Discover card.
They accept Discover at Renaissance fairs?
Yeah, they do here. Discover is accepted at the places I love to shop. Getteth with the times.
With the times? You're playing the lute.
Yeah, and it sounds pretty good, right?
Discover is accepted at 99% of places that take credit cards nationwide. Based on the February 2024 Nielsen report.
Progressive knows owning a home can be hard, but not always. Like when you're relaxing on your patio, enjoying a nice, quiet evening. So quiet. Except for the sound of the neighbor's party. Which you said you'd go to if you weren't busy. And your quiet night on the patio, that's not exactly busy, is it? Maybe you should just stay inside. At least Progressive's Home Quote Explorer lets you easily compare rates, so shopping for insurance is the easiest part of owning a home. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and third-party insurers. Comparison rates not available in all states or situations.
This is Mitch, owner of Junk Masters. Feeling overwhelmed by clutter? Spring's the perfect time to reclaim your space and peace of mind. Renting a dumpster is costly, and it all ends up in the landfill. Just show us what goes. We give usable items a second life by donating them. No calling all over town trying to figure out who takes what. We do the legwork for you. Easy, cost-effective, and local. There's no obligation. Visit junkmastersmn.com today.
Hi, I'm Peter Solak.
And I'm Adam Ostrowski.
We are here at Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces to talk about the joy of live fire cooking. Cooking over a live fire is the oldest and most basic form of cooking.
What's new is in the way fire is handled and its heat is managed.
It's easier to experience and enjoy the smell and taste of food cooked over a live fire.
Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces sells and installs live fire grills, fire pits, and ovens. Let us help you experience the smell, the taste, the fun of cooking with fire.
Pizza was first made and is still best made in an open fire oven. The radiant and conductive heat of a live fire is unmatched for wood roasting and baking artisan breads too.
Come see the many ways you can cook over a live fire.
Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces has over 35 working wood and gas units on display at the corner of East Franklin and Riverside Avenue in Minneapolis. More information at woodlandstoves.com. Find the fire that works for you. Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces. Out of the ordinary products and services since 1977.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Patrick Lilia. Today, cloudy with a high of 80. Tonight, partly cloudy with a low of 62. Then Thursday, sunshine with a high of 86. Nightingale is your cozy, comfortable neighborhood bar and restaurant at 26th and Lyndale in Minneapolis. Come in for the famous Nightingale burger or the ginger tamari chicken wings. View their menu or place a takeout order at nightingalempls.com.
Portions of the following program may be pre-recorded.
Hour number 2 of the show here on your Wednesday. Matt, Patrick here. Patrick, I guess let's do a quick little sports roundup here because Stanley Cup is over. Florida won it again. Can I just make this point about Florida and the Florida Panthers particularly? That team is basically built by a bunch of Minnesotans that moved down there because they can't stand the state up here anymore. So they moved down there and they built it. And heaven forbid you stay in the state that made you your money and got you your wealth and helped build the local team. Instead, they went down there. And let's just be honest, 98% of Florida residents don't even care that anyone in South Florida, most of them don't even care about ice hockey down there because they don't know a damn thing about the sport.
Yeah, it's kind of frustrating to watch, isn't it?
It is because, it's just, it's a shame that the people that are so intent on turning their second wife state, Florida, into an NHL winner are so eager to basically not help Minnesota. I guess that's part of the problem I have, because, it's Florida. No one cares. I've got friends down there. I talk to them on a regular basis. They have about 30, 40,000 people that do love the sport, but in a town that size, that's hardly anybody. And already most of them don't even care. They care about soccer. They care about baseball. Those are the two sports they care about down there. And Miami Dolphins football, which, may God have mercy on their souls. Well, at least it's not Jacksonville. I guess it's been a long time since Marino down there, but, it's the case. Is it tomorrow night is the game 6 of the NBA championship?
I think so. Yes.
Any chance it goes game 7? I don't think so.
I don't think so. Especially Indiana has their star player Halliburton, who looks like there's a good chance he won't play. So if he can't go, and even if he does play, that's probably going to be kind of a tough ride for him. It's kind of hard to see them pulling it out.
No, I agree. I think it's OKC's. Someone told me, and I haven't really looked that hard, but I did do one initial search. I couldn't find anything on this. So this is pure speculation. Just if you do see something about this, send it to me in one of the social media pages. Someone told me that the KKK apparently wants to have the right to march in the OKC Victor Parade if they actually have it. It does. That sounds on brand for Oklahoma. I did a search. I didn't find anything about it, so I don't know if that's true or not. But it doesn't sound too outrageous. I could see something like that being true.
No, it really doesn't. I think Missouri was the one that they fought to get on one of those adopt a highway signs.
Yeah.
So, kind of your next door neighbor.
Yeah. It is Oklahoma. It's the only state that every county there voted for Trump. So you get what you pay for out there. One last thing I will say about sports. I've been kind of dogging on NASCAR so I worked a long time ago. I worked for a great company, Blakeway Panoramas. We did these big panorama prints that went to tourist shops and people put them on their walls. They're beautiful. I loved working for them. And they did all these NASCAR prints. And this is back in that heyday of NASCAR where it was Gordon and Earnhardt and, just all the big racers were out there. Johnson was out there. Jimmy Johnson. And so this was back in the day. And back then they were getting 13, 14 million viewers per weekend on one of their races. They were huge on the biggest races, on the Daytona race or one of the potential clinching race at the end of the season. They were getting 20 million viewers. Then they started screaming, "Let's go Brandon" at their races. And funny story, they have fallen off the charts. Now, it doesn't surprise me. I mean, once again, I bring this up and I have actually started following F1 now. Do you watch F1 at all?
I have a close friend who is huge into F1, so I kind of get some osmosis there, but racing as a whole just doesn't intrigue me that much.
I like the F1 is kind of fun. They've got a lot of good characters on that circuit, and it is very kind of glamorous and international for sure. NASCAR, every time I dog on it, people say NASCAR is such a better race, and it's not nearly as bad. Just because it was bad for a little while, it's not bad now. Spire Motorsports has fined driver Carver Hocevar from Michigan $50,000 for his derogatory comments about Mexico City on a Twitch. So, they're trying to expand down to Mexico and do NASCAR. They're doing a NASCAR race down there, and he basically calls Mexico City a blank hole on a live stream. NASCAR Cup Series race. He immediately apologized. He's being fined the money. But I mean, this is who their sport is now. That is what their sport has become. It's become, it's become let's go Brandon, and it shows. NASCAR on Prime Videos are playing out much like the streamers debut of Thursday Night Football a few years ago. Viewership down double digits overall. So once again, back in the first decade of this century and into about 2015, 2016 or so, NASCAR races were getting 10 to 15,000 viewers per race. The viewers of Prime Video's races are 2.27 million. That's down a smidge. Through the three races, Charlotte, Nashville, and Michigan, down 21% from last year's three equivalent races, which averaged 2.88 million. Still not a lot, but they're down even more now. They basically say they're happy because young adults are turning in, but they have less than 750,000 young adults watching, and that's not big. The past weekend racing from Michigan averaged 1.77 million, marking in all probability the least watched Cup Series race of the season. Big data figures not publicized for all races on the Fox and FS1 season from last year, but those networks traditionally panel-only numbers were higher. They had 1.77 million. There's a lot of WNBA games now that get higher than that, correct? Especially anything with the fever, they're getting 4 or 5 million now per those games, right?
Yes, it's definitely getting close.
So NASCAR races, and that's not taking anything away from the WNBA. The WNBA right now is the most entertaining league in all sports, hands down. I think it is the most entertaining league in all sports. WNBA is fantastic. There was a fight. Did you see the fight with Indiana and who was it? Was it Connecticut?
Yeah, I did see Clark got shoved down. I didn't dig too deeply into it, but
oh gosh, thank you, WNBA. This is beautiful. I'm enjoying it. The fact that WNBA is up, NASCAR is down 1.77 million. And by the way, still you go to those races and they're screaming, "Let's go, Brandon! Let's go, Brandon!" Yeah, if you, I prefer not to have ignorance, bigotry, and racism with my sports. So good luck, NASCAR. You'll be a regional network before too much longer. The way you're going. I'm reading this next story just for this next line, which immediately got me intrigued. Minnesota is a nice place to pitch your tent. Yes, indeed. Let me finish. At least that's what the Dirt says. DYRT. The camping app's camping app. The 2025 camping report has been released, sharing the top 10 places to camp in each region of the United States. The top 10 for the Midwest features 2 Minnesota camping hubs that rank quite well. Split Rock Lighthouse State Park, which is an absolutely fantastic state park, narrowly missed the top spot, landing in second place. The Dirt, DYRT, and its users tout the park's beautiful views of Lake Superior, secluded campsites, and easy access to hiking along the Gitchigami State Trail. Also included in there was the Superior National Forest Fall Lake Campground, which came in fourth. The app boasts its well-maintained campgrounds, fishing access, and proximity to the Boundary Waters Canoe Area Wilderness. I've never been there, but I've heard it's actually okay. I've heard it's good fishing there. Those 2 placements tie Minnesota with Michigan in the only 2 places where you can go pitch a tent. Well, I mean, you can kind of do that anywhere, but I mean, in a campground. How about I say it there? Sorry. You're not going to get me to pass up on a story like that. That's, if you want to know whose fault it is, it's Bring Me the News. Bring Me the News did that to me. Thank you, guys. I appreciate it. Also, I did want to mention, I did say last hour, Juneteenth coming up. I hope that people out there can find something to do. Juneteenth, Minnesota's West Broadway Block Party kicks off Thursday at 11:30 a.m. with a Jubilee Parade through North Minneapolis. The road will remain closed through 6 p.m. for the following street festival, which includes live entertainment, vendors, kids carnival, exhibits showcasing Black history. The Rondo's celebration, the Journey of 4 Families, which runs from noon until 5 on Thursday, includes a reveal of new exhibit panels telling the stories of families who lived in the historically Black neighborhood that was torn apart by Interstate 94 being built. And the Great Midwest Minnesota Cookout, held at local nonprofit, the Anika Foundation, will take place at the Minnesota State Capitol lawn from noon until 6 p.m. on Saturday. That's this upcoming Saturday. Expect family events, history displays, food and live music, plus many communities, including Brooklyn Park, Minnetonka, Edina, Maple Grove, are also holding events. They do have a list. I'll make sure I put a link out to that. So go on and enjoy it. If you get the chance and you got some time, by all means, do enjoy Juneteenth tomorrow, which once again is a national holiday. So you will, of course, not get mail or anything like that. And if you are lucky enough to get the day off, enjoy indeed. All right. Cleansing moment here. All right. I am obviously this has been a stressful week. It's interesting. I'm seeing people I generally see on a regular basis every week, and I haven't seen them since the news broke. And I was at the Y today, and I was working out, and I saw some people, and we ended commiserating and consoling each other over the sadness of the murder of Speaker Hortman and her husband, and the shooting of Senator Hoffman and his wife, and a terrorist strike in Minnesota targeting Democrats specifically. And most of them know what I do for a living, and the fact that I am a political talk show host, that I lean on the left side of things. And it's been a tough week, and it's going to be a tough few weeks until this all sinks in and we get more answers. One of the things, though, that I think that you've seen, and even with the Republicans who have come on out and said, no, stop spreading lies about this stuff. There does seem to be a level of unity that there are certain things that we're just not going to do in this state and in the aftermath of this horrific story. But one thing did happen, and I'm going to bet you that who's the most conservative Republican in the House of the Senate? Maybe Weissenberg, maybe Lucero. I'm going to bet right now that Eric Lucero and I would be hand in hand in agreement on the following statement. Whoever broke into Melissa Hortman's house, burn in hell, man. Burn in hell. You better just, somebody did this. The Brooklyn Park home of State Representative Melissa Hortman was broken into overnight, 4 days after she and her husband, Mark Hortman, were shot and killed in the house, said police on Wednesday. Brooklyn Park police officers were alerted to the break-in at 8 a.m. this morning, according to the department news release. When police arrived, they found that the plywood covering a rear window had been pried off and the glass window had was broken to gain entry. It appeared the house was searched by someone, though family members said they didn't notice anything was missing. The home had already been processed by investigators starting on Saturday after charges alleged that Vance Belter stopped by the couple's house and fatally shot both the Hortmans. All evidence related to the murders was already collected before the break-in, police did say. After the murder scene was processed, police boarded up the house with plywood early on Sunday morning. The police trailer camera was located in the front of the home when the break-in occurred, police said, though the release did not say if the camera caught footage of the break-in suspect. Police had turned the house over to Hortman family on Sunday, the release added. No arrests have been made. The department is not releasing more information on the break-in at this time. The police spokesman said the Hortman family had already removed all the items of value on Tuesday, police said. So that Tuesday afternoon, the scene in front of the Hortman's home was quiet and peaceful with no active police presence. A handful of people were walking up to the property and placing flowers and were being laid in front of the driveway where police tape marked the scene. Brooklyn Park police have urged the Hortman's neighbors to check cameras if they have doorbell cameras from the last day and to call the department if they have any evidence, information related to the burglary. Obviously, something that happened in the middle of the night between Tuesday and Wednesday. So if you have anything out there, if you have somebody walking past your house at, say, 1 or 2 in the morning and that's not usual, contact the police, let them check it out. I want to talk to whoever did this for a quick sec, okay? Run. Nobody in this state is going to be on your side. Nobody. Like I said, it takes something pretty dramatic for you to be able to probably unite me with the most conservative people in the state, but I can guarantee you that Eric Lucero, Walter Hudson, Steve Drazkowski, all these people are probably just as infuriated about this as I am. No one's going to be your friend. I'm wondering if you did this to try to do the, look at me, I broke into where the crime happened, just to take some pictures because you wanted to be cool or something. I don't know. I don't think that was the case. I would hope that's not the case, you sicko. Because you did break a window, so I'm going to guess you thought to yourself it's going to be easy stealing. But I guarantee you they're going to check everything there, and they're going to find you. They are going to find you, and they are going to put you away. So my guess is going to be, because the mere thought that you are in my state right now so repulses me and makes my skin crawl that I just want to give you the advice I can. Run. Get out of here. Go away. You are worthless scum. Worthless scum. And when we do find out who you are, and we will find out who you are, I guarantee no one is going to like you. And no one's going to be your friend. You're a piece of crap. And I'll tell you that to your face. You want to come on in here, we'll call the cops. I'll tell it to your face. All right? All right. I'd be happy to help them arrest you. 952-946-6205. 952-946-6205. God, some people, man. Let's take a break. Come on back. It is the Matt McNeil Show here on your Wednesday.
Pride is more than a party. It's a celebration of progress, community, and connection. And this year, you're invited to be a part of it at Twin Cities Pride 2025, happening June 28th and 29th. Whether you've marched in past movements or are showing up as an ally, your presence matters. All weekend long, you can enjoy live music on 3 stages, explore over 650 vendors, and discover community resources. Plus, be sure to stop by the History Pavilion and learn all about Pride's powerful legacy. Support queer and BIPOC-owned businesses, grab a bite from 46 food vendors, and take advantage of free Metro Transit rides to get there. And don't forget, AM 950 will be broadcasting live from our tent all weekend. Stop by and say hi. More than 50 years after the first Pride March, we gather not just to celebrate, but to resist attacks on our queer community. That's Twin Cities Pride, June 28th and 29th.
Your heart beats for generations. Take care of it.
There's a lot that we can do to take care of ourselves. And so I think it's important to take the smaller steps and break it down into more manageable pieces, because the little steps leads to big changes.
Every beat of your heart tells a story of love, resilience, and hope. For Indigenous women, taking care of your heart means creating more moments with the ones you cherish. Let's protect that story. Learn more at hennepin.us/heart-beats.
This is Robert Pilot of Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, weekdays at 5 p.m. On our show, you'll hear about Native issues like treaties, protecting Mother Earth, and holding our elected officials accountable. Weekly correspondents like Dr. Stately, State Senator Mary Kunesh, Robert Lilligren, and Bob Blake update us with the latest news from Turtle Island. Native issues are human issues, and human issues are Native issues. Listen weekdays at 5 p.m. or watch the show on Native Roots Radio social media accounts. Ho-wah!
End-of-life decisions are not easy to make. Hi, I'm Mary T. of Mary T. Hospice Care. It's important to make sure that this difficult time is meaningful and comforting to you and your loved ones. Our hospice team provides an individualized program of physical, emotional, spiritual, and practical care so your loved one is comfortable and not in pain. At Mary T. Hospice, we understand that choosing the right hospice care provider can be overwhelming, but we're here to assist you. Learn more today at marytinc.com.
Dr. Stephanos Sinacropi, an orthopedic spine surgeon and wellness evangelist, hosting the brand new Recharging the Human Battery show on AM 950 radio. My co-host Mandy Dickey and I will delve into various health topics ranging from medicine to nutrition to exercise, emerging technologies, and yes, some way out there stuff. Will provide a balanced view of today's landscape, helping listeners navigate its complexities and hoping to change the way you think about your health. Recharging the Human Battery airs Saturdays at 11 a.m.
AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota, the Matt McNeil Show. So I don't. One of the things one of the little quirks of history that people sometimes forget is Sarah Jane Olsen. If you don't remember, Sarah Jane Olsen was when she was with the terrorist group out in the 70s that was out there, and she kind of disappeared, and she ended up being in St. Paul. She was actually a housewife in St. Paul when they finally tracked her down. And she initially was going to kind of try to win her case as how can you be up against me? I'm a kind of rehabilitated mom. I'm part of the PTO sort of thing. I mean, just paraphrasing, but kind of that was the mentality. And she was playing this up. And then 9/11 happened. And suddenly we all of a sudden stopped toying around with the concept of a terrorist being something that we should kind of tolerate. And, you know, the reality is if I remember correctly, and I can't remember all the details, if she would have just accepted the plea deal early on and not fought it, she probably would have, had a minimal problem at all with what was some pretty heinous crimes. But because she waited out, she ended up going to prison for multiple years afterwards because we turned our attention. You see, there's sometimes news does in fact impact how things like this play, which leads me to the story where I don't know what this guy was thinking, but I can guarantee you just the tone that I have heard about what had happened in Minnesota, you probably don't want to be emulating that, because I'm going to imagine they are going to drop the hammer pretty hard on this guy. The North Dakota man has been charged after he allegedly emailed violent threats to a federal prosecutor and cited the weekend fatal shooting of Minnesota State Representative Melissa Hortman and her husband. Charles Dalzell, Dalzell, a 46-year-old from St. Thomas, North Dakota, was arrested on Monday by FBI agents and charged with interstate threats and threats against a federal official. It's not immediately clear if he has retained an attorney. According to the federal complaint, Dalzell had allegedly sent an email on Sunday evening via an obscure address to a JP of the United States Attorney's Office for the District of North Dakota. The filing did not identify JP by name. The email, which identified Dalzell as the sender, referred to the deadly shootings of Hortman and her husband, the complaint states. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. I don't want the situation to end up like Minnesota over the weekend. Do you? The email said, according to the complaint. I'm trying to get all of you to actually follow the law, not ignore me, not lie to me, not mislead me, and purposely waste my time I don't have. That is what you have. That is what you all have done. And this makes me wonder if these bad situations are really what you want, or do you hope that I flip out and end up dead by police officer? The email added. Hortman, of course, was fatally shot by a deranged man. Sunday email indicated that Dalzell was allegedly owed money after a court victory. According to the complaint, he claimed he raised concerns regarding his legal case to federally elected public officials, but was ignored, and police were attempting to silence him so public officials could engage in corruption. All right. The complaint says Dalzell indicated two officers told him the public officials were not interested in helping him and that he was close to going to jail. Dalzell blamed JP, who works in that office, among others, for lying to him. The complaint says, just sitting here wondering what a lawmaker and a representative were shot and one dead over in Minnesota. And one thing comes to mind, something like that doesn't fall out of the sky now, does it? I'm most certainly not making threats, but when... Okay. I'm most certainly not making threats, but when lawmakers make laws and the state doesn't follow the laws they created, it would probably blank some people off, right? The email said, according to the complaint. The email allegedly went on to say, I don't know the specifics of the Minnesota case, but a representative and lawmaker were shot and one of them is dead. And all you mentioned above are basically avoiding your responsibility, and that's creating some bad situations. Yeah, this guy clearly doesn't understand what the term threat means. Continue on the email. I'm done with you ignoring me. I'm done with the threats of jail and charges. This had better get fixed Monday morning, which is tomorrow, because I want to avoid any more problems and I don't want North Dakota to end up like Minnesota. And no, that is not a threat, JP. It's a fact and a statement. Wow. Dalzell allegedly named two public officials and a judge who he claimed were not effectively performing their duties. He continued by saying he would not back down until he was reimbursed. The complaint said. The criminal complaint noted that the same email address was investigated for an email that a threat against a U.S. Attorney's Office for the District of North Dakota back in February of last year. You know, there's a lot here. Clearly, we have really a lot of people, I think, in these rural areas, not by any means a majority, by any means, but there is a lot of this out there. And granted, we can definitely have a long discussion about the need for mental health services in a lot of parts of the country, which we unfortunately don't have out there. We also can, obviously, this guy's been popping up on people's radar for a while now because he's getting more and more threatened. And now I hope he goes to jail for a little bit and he realizes you can sit there. I mean, all this guy did was threaten these people and then said, well, it didn't count because I'm not really threatening you. But I can tell you right now, it's if you're going to try to do something like that and you're going to invoke a horrendous terrorist killing of Speaker Hortman as a way to saying, you'd better do what I say or else, oh, by the way, that's not a threat. Lock his worthless ass up. Seriously. And by the way, also, give him some education, because this guy dude clearly is just too stupid for his own good. 952-946-6205, 952-946-6205. Local news roundup when we do come on back. It is the Matt McNeil Show here on your Wednesday. I'll never forget. I was driving my Sienna from Rudy Luther Toyota, and I was hit at 35 miles an hour, rear-ended square flush. If not for the structural integrity of my Sienna, I wouldn't be here right now. There's a lot I can say about Rudy Luther Toyota, about their fantastic service department and their great selection, but being able to say your car saved my life is the best endorsement I can make. Toyotas from Rudy Luther Toyota are my highest recommendation. Get one today and tell them me, Matt McNeil, told you to stop on in. Rudy Luther Toyota, 394 and 169 in Golden Valley.
Support comes from Hennepin Arts, presenting Hidden Brain Perceptions Tour with Shankar Vedantam. Are there parts of our minds that are hidden from us? This question launched the Hidden Brain podcast 10 years ago. Now host and creator Shankar Vedantam brings 7 key insights from the first decade of Hidden Brain to the stage. Whether you're new to the show or a longtime listener, this evening of science and storytelling will change how you think about yourself. Tickets available at hennepinarts.org.
Did you know Ghostbox Radio with Greg Bakken airs 5 nights a week at 10 p.m.? That's 5 nights of talking about ghosts, ufology, Bigfoot, and so much more. We're talking about the paranormal every Monday through Friday with some of the most trusted names in the field. Join us and step into the unknown with Ghostbox Radio with Greg Bakken, Monday through Friday at 10 p.m. Only if you dare.
Hi, I'm Bruce Klopfleisch, a college political science instructor and attorney. Join me every Sunday at 5 p.m. for Politics Matters. We dive into how civics, politics, and law affect you. Discover how government impacts your daily life from the federal level all the way down to your local city. Each week, I'll share my key takeaways and teaching moments on crucial civics concepts to help understand what is happening in the current political environment. That's Politics Matters with Bruce Klopfleisch, Sundays at 5 p.m. or anytime on your favorite podcast app.
When was the last time you had your roof inspected for extreme weather and hail damage? This is Chad, owner of AM 950, to talk about the exterior construction company I trust, Snap Construction. If you've noticed new roofing projects in your neighborhood, your home was likely hit by hail last summer and experienced damage. Snap Construction is helping homeowners like you, and they're the roofing specialists I trust. They are the most well-reviewed contractor in the Twin Cities and have a ton of positive customer reviews from homeowners just like you. Even better, Snap Construction's installations are backed by a lifetime warranty, so you know you're dealing with a qualified roofing expert. You want to work with a company that will be here for a long time after the work is done. Snap Construction has handled thousands of claims and will help you through the process. Do yourself a favor and get a free roofing inspection so you have the facts and peace of mind you deserve. Call Snap Construction today at 612-333-SNAP. That's 612-333-SNAP. Or visit snapconstruction.com.
With a look at your AM 950 weather, I'm Patrick Lilia. Tonight, partly cloudy with a low of 62. Then Thursday, warm sunshine with a high of 86. Nightingale is your cozy, comfortable neighborhood bar and restaurant at 26th and Lindale in Minneapolis. Come in for the famous Nightingale burger or the ginger tamari chicken wings. View their menu or place a takeout order at nightingalempls.com.
Sugar Ray, man. I love this song. It is the Matt McNeil Show. Good to have you with us. 952-946-6205. So, I don't know if you've run across this. I was kind of surprised with this next story, but I'll say this. For the most part, the whole, fake created stupidity from the Republicans about the state flag has pretty much gone away, or at least I thought it had. Reminder that they all felt as if this is a violation, even though it was a bipartisan board. They basically open it up for design ideas. They've got one. I like this new state flag. And I'll be the first to say, I remember when we were talking about it, it wasn't my first choice of the final 6 designs, but I think it looks good. And as a matter of fact, I know other people that are not from Minnesota that think we have a really cool flag, which is it's really nice. It's nice to have a cool flag. It's nice not to have the blue flag with a seal on it anymore. For a lot of reasons. I'll get to that here in a second. I have two neighbors. One is a guy who's renting a place about 3 blocks from my house, and he occasionally has the old Minnesota state flag out, and I don't really see him. If I do get the chance, I might, point out the history of it. But there is another neighbor, and it was kind of interesting. My wife and I noticed they were altering the flags. They were alternating them. They were one day they'd have the new flag out, the next day they'd have the old flag out. And I got to chatting with him one day, and I said, "Oh, by the way, you know the history of that flag, that version of the flag?" And he's like, "Oh, it's the old flag." I said, "Well, no, you understand what the history, the symbolism is, right?" "No." And I pointed out that was about manifest destiny, about driving the Native Americans off their land so white Europeans could take it over. And it's not just a theory. The woman who was married to the guy who designed the flag wrote a song talking about it being about manifest destiny, about riding a Native American off his land so that a white European could take it over. And of course, he did needless to say, we've only seen the new flag ever since, because that's not a debate. That is the truth. That's the history of it. It's a racist flag. The old flag was a racist flag. The new flag is cool. And of course, we had all these MAGA people. It's the Somali flag. No, it's not. It's not even close. You have to be a bubbling cauldron of racism for you to look at that flag and say it's the same thing as the Somali flag. I thought that we were past this. I thought we were. Because, let's face it, this was just generated for stupidity's sake. If you really are that bothered by it, as opposed to sit there and being a fool and pouting and sucking your thumb and acting like you've been violated, well, your option is to work really, really hard to get the Republicans in charge of the House, the Senate, and the governor's office in the state of Minnesota. Good luck with that. Anyway, but you get all 3 of those branches, and then you can bring up the flag. And I will say this. I don't even think the Republicans want to bring back the old flag at this point. But, maybe they would just basically, put some sort of phallic symbol on a blue background for manhood or something like that, and they would act like that was great. Maybe they bring back laser loon. I don't know. That's why it's kind of disappointing to see that apparently in some places the right-wing hysteria of creating a massive problem from nothing seems to be alive and well. We head out to the beautiful city of Detroit Lakes. Opponents of the new Minnesota flag notched a win after reviving the issue on Tuesday night's Detroit Lakes City Council meeting. Now, this was Tuesday last week. The results, the state flag has disappeared. Neither the old one nor the new state flag will now be flown on the city flagpoles. What? Jesus. Talk about punting. It was the 3rd time the council voted in the state flag issue, and even though some council members may be getting sick of spending so much time on it, you can't say people don't feel strongly about it on both sides. Okay? While the city council approved spending $1 million to get a new fire engine, okay, accepted Becker County's offers to lease the old public works garage for $2,000 a month, fine, and unexpectedly shot down a proposed parking lot across from Summit Avenue from Zorba's on Tuesday's attendance was largely focused on the flag issue. Tell me, you guys, where has the flag touched you? The large council room was packed with people, and judging from the comments from Detroit Lake residents, about half of them were there for the flag issue. Most of them who spoke opposed the new state flag and left the meeting happy to see it shot down. Once again, Minnesotans. Todd Simpson spoke against the new flag, saying, a committee of 13 people made the final call on the flag design, and it isn't right that 13 people can make a decision for some 6 million Minnesotans. Now, dude, first of all, I just want to point out how stupid you sound for a second, because pretty much every MAGA argument is that the minority MAGA should be able to make the decisions for the majority of the rest of us without any consequences. So you suddenly upset that what you consider to be the minority, even though there was a much larger process here that they went through. They got down to their final 6 patterns. They had public voting on it. Public voting sent them back to the 1. Then they had some design people come in and they came up with the design. That's what happened. And once again, bipartisan committee. Completely bipartisan committee. But fine. All of a sudden, now you guys are upset because the minority, I know you guys like to keep thinking to yourself that, that the majority of the state is really Republican. It's not even close. And so your entire argument is that the minority should rule over the majority, and now all of a sudden you're furious about that. Okay, fine. He said there are a dozen cities and about that many counties in Minnesota that rejected the new flag and refused to fly it. Well, from the bottom of my heart, screw you all, if you can say. Seriously, you are sad, small, petty people. What? Seriously, is this really the biggest? Are you blubbering? Do you see the new flag? New flag. What's wrong with you people? You're pathetic. Seriously, in this day and age, this is your biggest issue. The flag hurts me. Ooh. God. He thanked the people who came to support the cause, saying he believes there are a good many in here who just like to fly our original traditional flag. It's racist, you idiot. Now that I've said this, if you still want to fly it, you're a racist. Ta-da! Well, I'm a white guy. I didn't think it was racist. And scene. Seriously. Oh, God. Oh, it's once again a racist flag. But hey, you guys are on brand there. Larry Leitenheiser also spoke against the new flag, as did former council member Marga Yabara, who criticized the 2023 DFL control legislation for implementing the new flag and not letting people vote on it, which they did. I'm sorry to say, but it looks like the Somali flag. Racist, racist, she said. The Somali flag shows a plain white 5-pine star on the blue background. It looks nothing like the Minnesota state flag. That is only something racist push. And if you're pushing that, you're racist. All right? You are. Because for you, it's vilifying something to call it Somali. That's on you. Okay? For you, when you're labeling it as it's the Somali flag, you're that petulant little child who doesn't want to eat their broccoli. So, hey, you want to keep calling it that in a derogatory term. Yeah, you continue being a racist. You're not fooling anyone. But in Detroit Lakes, I guess that's on brand. Brian Alston noted that Minnesota dropped this flag on this and didn't require the city or county to do anything. The city is not required to do anything. It's a Twin Cities flag. It's not the Greater Minnesota flag. Dear Lord. It's your flag, you idiots. It is your flag. And there were plenty of people from outstate Minnesota who helped design and pick this flag. As a matter of fact, a lot of people from outstate Minnesota helped design and pick this flag. It's those liberals in the city. This is sad. This is sad. Some of the audience did support keeping the new flag flying over Detroit Lakes and said the city council should stop wasting this time debating this issue. Zach Foltz told the council he supports flying the official state flag. We cannot let politics on the nation and state level creep into the city level. The only argument to be made in the good conscience is to fly the official flag or not fly any flag at all. After public comment was closed, city council members weighed in. I don't like the new flag as much as the old flag. The racist flag, said Sean Carlson. He liked the racist flag far more than he likes the new flag. Let's just make sure I put the proper verbiage in here. A lot of points were made valid, But we are in a town in Minnesota. We are a tourist community. We should be flying the flag. We should codify that we will fly whatever the official flag of Minnesota is. The flag design is a state issue, should be left to the state. That's where the change really needs to happen. Council member Jackie Bubbles agreed. Everyone has been open on the flag. I appreciate their passions, but as a state decision, the appeal should be through the state process. Once again, win the governor's mansion, win the House, win the Senate. Issue number one is do that. Well, behind shutting down this Senate office building, guys, let's remind yourselves that. There we go. I just lost my microphone for a second. That's nice. Anyway, let's remind people of what happened with the Senate office building. The Senate office building was a boondoggle. That was, it's a boondoggle. It's a boondoggle. No one's going to be. I remember, how many Republicans do I remember saying, I will never, ever, ever have my office in the Senate office building. And where are all the Republican senators now? That's right. They're in the Senate office building. So your first thing when you do take control is to shut down that boondoggle of a Senate office building. But then the next thing is going to be to get the flag. But you can go do that. That's your option there. It's time to move forward, she added. I have more people say, why are we spending time on this issue? They're talking about it. Well, because there's about 40 or so clown car people there whose lives are sad and petty and small, and there's probably a tinge of racism within that group in some capacity, and this is the hill they decided they wanted to die on. City Council member Jamie Duraney did not agree. The old state flag was canceled and thrown out as outdated, but it represents the state history. Okay, Jamie, it represents the racist state history. If you're for that, you're pro-racism. And I know I didn't say that. You kind of did. What part of the history of our country are we going to call outdated next? Well, I would say running Native Americans off their land because you feel as if there's manifest destiny. That should have been gone a long time ago. Is the federal flag outdated? So now all of a sudden, once again, he's taking the federal flag and trying to say, see, now they're trying to cancel the federal flag. All right, whatever. And by the way, I don't think the state of Minnesota has the right to dictate the federal flag because we understand our role in the system. Some of our history is not great, but our history is our history. So I think we should be celebrating driving Native Americans off their land. That's I'm adding the rest of the whole statement there, Jamie. I'm adding the whole rest of it. He added that the flag discussion is not a waste of time and not taking away from other issues of the city. It's just causing city council meetings to run longer. It's pathetic and sad. No, it is, Jamie. It is pathetic and sad. Detroit Lake City Council member Matt Bouquet absent. The city council was split 4-4 on the flag issue. First, it voted to rescind the council's early decision to fly the original state flag with basically, after testimony was heard, the council members discussed the matter. A motion was made to not fly either state flag. The voting broke along same lines. I'm going to do the King Solomon thing, cut the baby in half, and doesn't work out too well for the baby, just letting you know. And we're going to not fly any flag. Once again, a state in Minnesota who's so upset about the state of Minnesota that they're not flying the state of Minnesota in Minnesota. Okay. After the meeting was almost through, though, and Alderman had a chance to, with final comments, Wendy Spry voiced her unhappiness with the vote. She grew up in the White Earth and has lived in Detroit Lakes for 30 years, but remains a proud member of the White Earth Nation. For many, the old state flag is a symbol of desperate times and Native peoples in Minnesota. Not for Jamie, though. He thinks it's good old times. I really disappointed tonight, she said. There are reasons the flag changed. The council turned its back on unity and welcomeness. Disappointed in the easiest word I can share with you. I'm disgusted, and it's just what it wasn't going to say it, but I have to. Opponents in the new flag have tried hard to bring it down earlier. There's multiple other meetings. All right. What's wrong with you people? Seriously. This is sad. This is Detroit Lakes. This is sad. This is it. And by the way, by the sounds of it, what Detroit Lakes is saying, especially from what we heard from some of these people, is you Twin Cities people stay out. Now, I know Detroit Lakes doesn't want that because they need our tourist dollars out there, but that's the real thing. I mean, there's clearly this anti-Twin Cities, you keep your liberal hippie flag ways out of our town mentality. And so maybe we should oblige them. Maybe we shouldn't go to Detroit Lakes. If they're not proud of being from Minnesota, then why should Minnesotans go there? If they're not proud of being from Minnesota, then why should people go there? I don't know what's wrong with you people, but you guys are just sad. Seriously, if this is your biggest issue in your life, then what the hell is wrong with you? You should be out there skipping through fields and picking wildflowers because you've got the easiest freaking life in history. Instead, you're obsessing about a flag. I am openly mocking you guys. Yes, I am openly. And by the way, the old flag was racist. You may not like that, but that was the wife of the guy who designed it saying, yep, it's about driving Native Americans off their land. And no matter how much you MAGA that up, you can't take that away. So if you're for the old flag, you're for the racist flag. End of story. Shame on you, Detroit Lakes. 952-946-6205, 952-946-6205. We'll take a break. Come on back. I'll reattach my microphone to my stand. It's the Matt McNeil Show here on your Wednesday.
The Council on LGBTQIA2S+ Minnesotans is conducting a community needs survey. Two-spirit and Native queer voices are sacred and must be heard. Your experiences will guide programs and policies that support our relatives across Minnesota. The survey is confidential and available at mnqt.info/survey. The May 31st deadline has been extended through June. Celebrate Pride Month and honor your story by participating.
Hey, it's Patrick for Zero Res. June is here, which means you might be having a graduation party at your house soon. Summer also means sleepovers. Your kids are going to be at the playground, at the water park, at the beach. There's going to be a lot of mess coming into the house over the summer, and you need to call my cleaning heroes at Zero Res to make sure your home is in order for the summer. And since June is here, it's time to take advantage of Zero Res's best deal of the summer. Zero Res can take care of any surface in your home or business, including carpet, tile, hardwood, rugs, upholstery, and air ducts. This month, take 20% off all services when you call my friends at Zero Res 9520-RES or go to ZeroResMinnesota.com. Just tell them you want the AM 950 special. Their prompt, courteous team will come out and take care of you. Again, that's 20% off all services this month. Go to ZeroResMinnesota.com or call 9520-RES and ask for the AM 950 special. Zero Res, backward or forward, spells the same.
Greg Bakken here. Like you, I love good, fresh, delicious food. So I want to tell you about this treasure in Roseville called Maverick's Real Roast Beef. Maverick's has the best roast beef sandwiches I've ever had. Made fresh, every order. Add fries or onion rings dropped in the fryer when ordered, and you have a winning combination. Maverick's Real Roast Beef has a lot more than roast beef, so check out their website, mavericksbeef.com, or check out their restaurant on Lexington in Roseville.
Last night we put on an epic light show.
Yeah, we did.
The crowd loved us. We love the crowd.
Wait, but there were only 4 people out there.
Yeah, but did you see their 4 faces? All 8 of their eyes lit up brighter than ours. And we're fireflies.
Yeah, we are.
Hey, that one girl, she looked like she'd never seen glow in the dark like this before, and we invented glow in the dark.
Yeah, we invented it.
And we're going to be out here every night rocking out our light show at a forest near you.
Woohoo!
So come check us out.
Check us out.
And bring your kid, all ages show. Oh, but don't bring any of those glass jars because they make us kind of nervous.
Yeah, and I'm super claustrophobic.
Whether you're rocking their world or they're rocking yours, some memories never fade. Come alive with the forest. Visit discovertheforest.org to find a forest near you and discover other cool things to do when you go, like fishing, biking, or even camping. Visit discovertheforest.org.
See you later.
Yeah, see you soon.
Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
It is the Matt McNeil Show. Okay, so I do want to make Detroit Lakes. You do understand in like 40 years, people are going to be talking like, can you believe that these people were fighting over a flag? And they were so upset because the racist flag was taken down. They wanted that racist flag back. And that's going to be you. And doesn't that sound pretty stupid? And I know you'll be sitting there going, it wasn't like that. The Somalis annoy me. That sort of thing. I get that. But I want to make sure you understand something, because this stuff happens throughout history. Back in 1890, 7 Minneapolis census takers were arrested by U.S. Marshals from St. Paul under accusations that they were cooking the books in order to claim the title of most populous city in Minnesota, according to the Minnesota Historical Society. Minneapolis officials then went to St. Paul with a warrant to recover 6 bags of evidence. St. Paul police officers drew their guns and showed them the door, according to the Star Tribune. After the federal invasion that expunged thousands of phony names in both cities, the final tally that came in that August with Minneapolis at 164,581, St. Paul at 133,158. Minneapolis has pulled even further ahead. The 2024 Metropolitan Council estimates have Minneapolis at 435, St. Paul's at 313,000. But this was, okay, so, and like I said, how do we look about this today? Like, can you believe these freaking nutbags back then in 1890 were so incensed over which city was going to be the biggest city that they actually were drawing guns on each other? No one looks at them admirably. No one looks at anyone there and says, oh, well, they were making a good point. No, it was pettiness and smallness. That's all it was. And we can laugh about it now, as people will for a long time to come, about what happened in Detroit Lakes. And by the way, Detroit Lake City Council, talk about a profile in courage. I mean, lack of profile and courage. For God's sakes. I'm sorry you're so scared of your MAGA neighbors that you just can't look at them and say, for God's sakes, we got more important things. We got parking lots we're trying to approve, or we're trying to spend $1 million on improving some things here. You know, no, we're not going to, we don't have time to worry about the flag. The state flag's the state flag. If you're really upset about it, work to get the Republicans elected governor, the Republicans in the House, and the Republicans in the Senate. Work really hard. If that happens, you can get that as issue number 1 to change the flag again. Go for it. But instead, the city council, like, oh, I guess the racist flag is not that bad. Seriously? Shame on you guys. You guys are weak and pathetic leaders. If you can't just look at them and say, it's the state flag, we're flying the state flag, done. Anyone else? Good. Well, then you probably shouldn't be there, because you got your own agenda, and it's pretty stupid, too. Native Roots Radio is up next. We're back tomorrow. Till then, see ya.
For the best and biggest fireworks selection, there was only